Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway on the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
All right, Frankie from Flatbush. Coffee with Frankie time. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay in the chat. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. We're here in Frankie from Flatbush headquarters. We got a bell. We don't know if we can hear it, but we got a bell right here. And you know, everybody probably needs a bell in their life. Let's just admit it. Let's see who we got in the chat. Joe Mike is here. Hank G is here. Harlan Abraham is here. Phil Adams here. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay on the old microphone. Joe Mike says, today is June 1st. It is June 1st. Happy new month day to everybody out there. Happy new month day. It's June 1st. What will the Jets do with all this newfound money? We don't know. We don't know. We'd like to see some signings. Let's see what Mooch, the big Moochster, let's see what he comes up with. Phil says AV 100%. All right. We got a microphone. We got a camera. We got PC Salami over in Asia. We got Jojo Townsell. Jojo was a man from Tucson, Arizona. Hank G, the Knicks got their bell rung. Get out of here, New York Knicks. See you later. And Jet 41 also here. Good to see everybody on a Sunday morning. Jojo Townsell, are we overpaying? Well, we don't know what we've paid them yet. We're not privy to the discussions. They're going to be top of the market. They'll probably be quote unquote overpaid, but you got to pay market prices. We'll see what Mooj and the team do. We won't know if we overpay them until we know what we've paid them. So it is June 1st. We do have more cap room coming in, starting later today and tomorrow. So we'll see if we make some signings or not. I would like to see some signings on the defensive side of the ball. I would like to see Zadarius Smith. I'd like to see another defensive tackle signed. I would like to see some signings, some aggression here by Mooj and the staff. but we don't know what they're going to do. It's hard to tell because this is the first year of the Muji regime. Now, we do have some important information. Some things did happen this week within the Jets. Did you see the news? Let me know what you think was the biggest news of the week with the Jets in terms of transactions, hires, fires, the organization. Let me know what new. Did you see the news? Did you happen to see what we did? Did you get the information? Was it reported to you properly by our beat reporters, those dopey dopersons? We made some transactions. Oh, Frankie reported it. Did the beat reporters report it? Nope. Oh, Frankie reported it. Let me know if you heard about it in the chat. Let me know if you heard about these moves we made. Did you hear about them? Did anybody tell you? Were you informed by your media of choice? We have a media. They're supposed to keep you informed. Here we have the Jets with a large fan base, okay, of people who are very interested in everything that's going on with the Jets. Certain things happened, and the media silent. Silencio. No, the dopey beat reporters didn't tell us nada. But old Frankie told you. No information reported to me, Jojo says. Yeah, exactly. But if you're following El Francarino on X.com, then you knew. PC knew about it. PC knew about it. How did PC know about it? PC follows me on X. That's how he knows about it. That's how he knows about it. Jojo says Brian Kaz was too busy eating his Pop Tarts. But what happened? Well, let's talk about it because I think it's important. I think it's important. Let's take a look at the old FSPN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. At FSPN here, we reported it. Let's share a screen. Let's see what we can do here. Going to the old Frankie from Flatbush X account. We now have an Instagram account as well. Not too much on there right now, but Frankie from Flatbush reporting new Jets scouting hire. We hired a new scout. Who is new Jet scout Jalen Morris? See the bio below. Jalen Morris is a professional in the field of player personnel and scouting within the NFL. Prior to being hired by the Jets, he served as the player personnel assistant for the Las Vegas Raiders for 3 years. Entering his second season in this role, before joining the Raiders, he was a scouting intern with the Seattle Sea Chickens, where he managed daily transaction duties, updated NFL team roster boards, and evaluated players from other leagues such as the AAF, CFL, and AFL. Morris has a strong background in collegiate recruiting, having spent 6 years in this area. He worked 2 years at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Bang. As the assistant director of recruiting, bang, where he managed the recruiting board, assisted with prospect visits, and analyzed high school prospect tapes. Prior to UAB, spent 3 seasons as a recruiting specialist at the University of Alabama. They any good? In Tuscaloosa, performing similar duties focused on prospect evaluation and hospitality. A native of Fairfield, Alabama, Morris earned his bachelor's degree in marketing and a master's degree in sports management from the University of Alabama. He is the son of Michelle and Richard Morris, and there he is. Bing. Jalen Morris. So what does this really mean? Well, it means Darren Muji's putting together his staff. That's what it means. So a lot of the next couple of things we're going to talk about are about Darren Muji putting together the front office that he wants, he and AG want. And this is something we talked about on this channel a lot, where we said, okay, it's fine that you're going to hire AG and Muji and all this, but what are you going to do about the scouts? What are you going to do about the nutrition staff? What about the training staff? What about the sports science staff? What about the player development staff? What about all these people? And what we're finding out is we're turning over a lot of that stuff. Remember, the Sports Business Journal reported that we offered something like 80% of the organization buyouts. We don't know how many of them took them, but that was another effort. Okay, even the salespeople and the all these people we try to turn them over. Now that was a nice way to do it. It's a voluntary buyout. You could basically get paid to do nothing for a couple of years on Woody's dime, but just to turn over the people in an effort to really turn over this culture. So everybody talks about the culture and the culture and the culture, and everybody gets sick of it. But the culture is really just made up of the people. And so now we're actually seeing Muji and AG moving to remake the front office and all of the constituent parts to uh, to remake it in their image how they want it. So this is just the latest hire. There'll be more. Then this happened. This made me so happy. Per Seth Walter, you didn't hear this from the beat reporters. The Jets have promoted Arjun Menon from to football analytics assistant, per source. Menon had been an intern with the team. While a student at Michigan, Menon also worked as a data analyst for the football team, including during their national championship run. So Arjun Menon, so on this channel, I was the only person I believe in the entire universe of the universe to report on Arjun Menon when we hired him last year as an intern. And I said, this guy is great. And he comes from the University of Michigan. He has a master's degree also. And he's fantastic. He's a data analytics guy. And we needed more data analytics guys or ladies. And we hired him as an intern. And now what has happened? He got hired as a full-time position. So this is great news for Arjun. It means he's now a full-time employee. He's not an intern anymore. And this also means that the Jets are making a substantial investment into analytics. And this is just one move. I would assume they're going to hire a couple of interns as well below Arjun. And so this just tells you that what has, for this to have happened means, Muji and the staff must have gone to Arjun and said, all right, we're new around here. Over the past year, what did you do, Arjun? And he must have went in and told them, all right, I did these 25 projects. Here's what I did, this. And he impressed them, and all the projects he was working on, he must have done good work. So I was very happy to hear that he got promoted because I was the one who said it was a great hire. And it would have been terrible if we then fired him because then that would have mean his work, whatever he was working on, wasn't too great, didn't impress anybody. But when you promote someone, that means you went in, you had a performance evaluation. They said, okay, Arjun, tell us what you've been working on this past year, what projects, and he went through it all and he got promoted. So that's fantastic. Great news. And so the front office makeover continues. And so this is great news. Arjun is going to do great things, I believe, for us. And also, there was a job posting right here. It's now closed. But as you can see in the URL, you can't really see it too well. It says this was a job that was posted for a sports science fellow. A sports science fellow. So we're hiring a Jets sports science fellow. What this person's going to do, I don't know. But we're hiring them. And it's closed now, so obviously they got in all the applications. They don't need, so the job disappeared from online, unfortunately, the job description. But, this is the sort of thing that we need to do. Now, is this going to mean we're going to win some football games? I don't really know. But this is exactly what we needed to do. I mean, this sort of thing is exactly what we needed to do, and we're doing it. So you got to give the Jets credit for that. They're trying. They're trying. And AG and Muji, this is their show. And one of the things that I said also in this underwhelming off-season for Muji and AG in terms of some of the signings that they made and some of the signings they didn't make and so forth, was you got to also let them get their own staff under them. And so maybe next year would be the more appropriate way to judge the quality of the offseason. I think we've had an okay offseason, but it's just been a little disappointing. And so now you're starting to see them hire the people they want to hire. They're getting rid of people they want to get rid of. They're promoting the people they want to promote, and they're remaking it in their image. And then, we'll see how it goes next year. So this is all good news. Phil Adams, do we know who left? Yeah. Jonathan Stigall left. And one of the pro scouting department's getting totally remade. I forget the guy's name. It started with a Z. He's out. Um, and so we're totally remaking the pro scouting department, which is very, very promising because we've been very bad there. One of our guys is getting promoted, Kelly something or other. He got a promotion. But the problem is the Jets don't really announce these, and you got to dig a little bit. It's why it'd be good if we had an actual press, like beat reporters, like actual journalists. Be nice if they could do some journalism. Um, so we don't exactly know. There may be more, Phil, but we do know some of the things. Stigall was a good scout, highly regarded, but I think he got a promotion somewhere, so he left the organization. That wasn't great for us. Um, but he got a promotion somewhere, and I guess Muji didn't stand in his way. So we lost some. We're bringing some in. We're reshuffling. This is all good news. Jojo, we have a lot of holes to fill. The assistant GM. Well, I think probably right now this assistant GM is probably what's his name? Well, it's Phil Savage. As a consultant, and then we hired Rick Spielman. So right now, Rick Spielman's really functioning as the AGM. I think once Muji probably has a year under him, he'll probably promote someone up into the AGM role. But in the meantime, Rick Spielman functions that way. He's sort of like probably going to be a short-term solution until we get enough people in there, and then they do the job for a year or so, and then Muji will probably promote somebody up. But in the meantime, it's basically Rick Spielman, and then in a way, Phil Savage. So he's got his two lieutenants there with the experience, and then and then he'll just start getting his staff under him, and then make promotions from there. Spin Max is here, listening in now. All right, good to know, Spin Max. Morning, Woody. Good morning to Woody. Good morning to you, sir. So I think these are all very positive. The Arjun Menon, I can't even tell you how good Arjun Menon is at his job. You just have to trust me. I can't prove it to you. But I know from seeing his work, he put a lot of work out on the internet, YouTube, other places. And so I happen to know that he does very high quality work, the kind of thing that we need at the Jets, in my opinion. So you'll just have to trust me on that. Now, the Jets have about four analytics staff people, Arjun being the lowest on the totem pole there. And that's about average for the NFL, for the team. Some have big analytics departments, some have tiny little ones. I'd like to see us add a few more, especially just add a couple of interns even. Um, the more folks you have, the more projects you can do. What happens with these positions is the coaches come in, or the scouts come in, or the general manager comes in. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I need a project done on this. We need to look at the analytics of this. Like, let's say the project is on which days, sort out the practice days that we had where we had, the number of days off before the practice, and sort out all the practice days by number of days previous where we had days off. And they might want to look at that to say which practices were the best practices we had all training camp. And they might notice a trend. Well, the best practices we ever had were when we had 1 day off, or 2 days off, or no days off, or 4 days, or whatever. That's a very simple project. But they might want to trend out. All right, when do we practice the best? Is it contingent upon how many days rest we've had? Or is it contingent upon something else, some other factor? And so the more people you have, the more projects you can get done, and the quicker you can do them, and the deeper you can go. So I'd like to see us add a few more. But it was great to see Arjun get a full-time position. Great for him. Obviously he gets benefits and all that good stuff. I don't know what you get as an intern. But good dude, smart as hell, very respected in the analytics community. You saw when this announcement went out, the analytics community, which is a very specific community within X and Twitter, all very, very happy for Arjun. So basically, all of his little stat nerds friends were very happy for him, and you like to see that, right? You like to see that. All right, so let's go to the next news item. Samini does have a column out. SpinMax, no. Why would I hear anything more, SpinMax? You heard the news. We're talking to them. They're trying to get them done. That's the news. How would I hear? Their agents aren't talking to me, SpinMax. Tell you that much. The agents are negotiating. We're talking. We're trying to hammer it out. We'll see what happens. These things are complex. Trying to come to the right value for both of those guys. And we'll see what happens. Joe Mike, I heard that Denver have a lot of DT coming up for contract extensions. Benito, Zach Allen. Why can't we trade for JFM back? Boy, I'd love that. Joe. But I don't think they're just going to give him up just because they have extensions coming up. I mean, Nick Benito is an end. Zach Allen, I don't know if Zach Allen's in their long-term plans. Maybe he is. He had a hell of a year last year. And remember, if they do contract extensions, that makes their cap hits lower now. When you do this is something people get wrong all the time, including Samini. And we're going to take a look at this column. When you do an extension for these guys, the cap hits go down now. You're going to pay later. Don't get me wrong. You will pay more later. But generally in the current year, it makes it easier for you to breathe when you do an extension for a guy, cap-wise. So, I don't know. I don't think that their GM's going to make the same mistake that Joe Douglas made. And it was actually, I think, a Woody Johnson thing, to be honest with you. I don't think Joe Douglas would have made that mistake. I just don't. I refuse to believe that Joe Douglas would have made that dumb of a mistake. Like, that was an unforced error that was so stupid. And Joe Douglas is not stupid, all right? You can say what you want about Joe Douglas. He made a mistake with Zach Wilson. All right, obviously. But lots and lots of GMs make mistakes with quarterbacks. It's not uncommon. It's very common that people get quarterbacks wrong in this league. So, and you know, every transaction wasn't great, but overall, and every draft wasn't fantastic. But look at Kwesi's drafts. You know something that's very interesting. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah just got an contract extension. Look at his drafts; they stink, but they won games. You know, mainly because of KOC and Cousins. You know, so that's the only difference. But his drafts stink on ice, but yet they won games still. But anyway, so I don't think Joe Douglas would have made that mistake, that particular kind of mistake. There's no way that Joe Douglas didn't value, and Robert Saleh for that matter, the contributions of John Franklin Myers. There's just no way in my mind that they made that mistake. I think Woody Johnson came to them and said, you got to find a way to cut money, and there was no other way to do it. And I think it was a Woody Johnson situation. Because then we get rid of him, and then we're talking to Jadeveon Clowney. And we were very close to signing Jadeveon Clowney before we acquired stupid Hassan Reddick, and Woody nixed that deal because the Carolina Panthers gave him a 2-year deal, and even after that, he came back before he signed that deal and said to the Jets, "I'd really like to play for you instead, but you got to beat this deal with Carolina," and I think Woody nixed that. So I think it was a Woody tightening the cash budget that year that made that happen. So I don't think it was a football decision. I think it was a money decision by Woody, which sucks when you have, as we all know, when you have one of the worst owners in football. Therefore, I don't think George Paton is going to make the same mistake. You know, they got Sean Payton over there as the coach, and they got George Paton. They got the Payton boys. George Paton is the general manager. I don't think he's going to make the same mistake. I really don't. You know, John Franklin Myers is one of those guys, unheralded. You know, doesn't get a lot of pub. Not going to get a ton of sacks. You know, not going to get a lot of press. Not going to get a lot of headlines. But he's the kind of guy you need on your defense that makes everybody better. I just don't see the Denver Broncos making the same mistake we did. Though I'd love it if they did. That'd be fantastic in my mind. Jojo says JFM is more of a D end instead of no. The beautiful thing about JFM is he can do both. and you can win with him doing both, and that's so valuable. It's so valuable for a defense. Flatbush Dre, good morning, Flatbush Dre. Joe Mike. Is the 49ers were all the X? Yeah. So what's happening with the 49ers, in case you don't know? Here's what's going on with the 49ers. I think they are preparing. Right now, they have Robert Saleh, as the shadow head coach, in my opinion. They paid him the most amount of money in the offseason. He makes the most money of any defensive coordinator in football, Saleh. And now, and they used their first 5 draft picks on defense, and now they're bringing in all these guys, on defense for Saleh and the special teams unit. And they also hired Brant Boyer, of course. Brant Boyer is their special teams coach, by the way. So what they're doing, in my opinion, and then they signed all these people. They signed Purdy, they signed Warner, they signed Kittle. Their core they signed back. They signed Juicebox back. So their core they signed. So I think they have like a 2-year window. And if Kyle Shanahan does not win this year, let's say they don't make the playoffs, I think they're going to fire Kyle Shanahan. And they're going to promote Robert Saleh. Because I think they like Saleh just on a personal level. Saleh's a charming guy, and Kyle Shanahan's kind of prickly, But if he wins, I mean, Shanahan's taken them to what, 2 Super Bowls? So if he wins, you can deal with the prickliness. But if you're not going to win, we're not dealing with the prickliness anymore. And I think they want to have Saleh, as the face of the franchise. So they're setting it up to where if Shanahan fails this year, let's say they don't make the playoffs, that would be very disappointing. Then they say, look, 2 years in a row, no playoffs, get rid of this guy. They get rid of Shanahan, and they just elevate Saleh, and boom, there you go. And if Shanahan wins, well, then they just keep Shanahan and keep going and hopefully retain Saleh as the defense coordinator. And basically, seems like Saleh is the head coach of the defense and special teams in a way, because now he's getting all of his special teams guys that he had with the Jets. And then Shanahan can focus on the offense. So maybe Shanahan even likes this to where it's like, okay, Saleh and Boyer, you're over there. Do whatever you do. I'm focusing on these plays. I'm calling these plays because I'm Kyle Shanahan. I'm concerned about the offense. And maybe he thinks that's good. Maybe he thinks that's what he needs to be successful on the offense. He doesn't have to worry about this defense thing and the special teams thing over here. Let Saleh and Boyer worry about that. I'm a genius play caller. I will worry about calling these plays. So I think that's what's happening. And so it'll be interesting. The 49ers will be one of the more interesting teams to follow this year, in my opinion, to see how much the shadow head coach lurking, it's like that meme where the guy's lurking behind the other guy. And Saleh is the one behind. And I think really the 49ers would prefer to have Robert Saleh as the head coach, but they can't fire Shanahan yet. I mean, he just had one bad season, so you can't kind of play it out here. And so let's see what the 49ers do. And let's see what happens to our old buddy, Robert Saleh. But that's what I think what's going on. He's the shadow head coach, in my opinion. JFM leaving, the biggest head scratcher, yeah. Unforced error, totally stupid. And then not signing Jadeveon Clowney to make it worse, and then trading for Hassan Reddick. Man, not that Clowney's the same type of player as JFM, but still. Could have been better. Yeah, Woody Meadows. And so let's hope he learns a lesson, man. I hope he's looking at the Knicks and going, all right, look, the Knicks were a laughing stock, just like the Jets are right now. And so, but Dolan, and then you have Charles Dolan, who's basically the same thing as Woody, a Nepo baby, inherited tons of money, just a rich guy from the start. And he was basically doing the same things that Woody was. He was meddling, he was hiring the wrong people, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that they got to where they are now, Charles Dolan hired, what's his name, Leon Rose, and then they hired Thibodeau as a coach, and then he was hands off. And look, now they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe with a little roster tweaking, they could go further next year. But basically, the Knicks are now relevant again, one way or the other. Whatever you think about them, they're relevant, and the Jets are not. And it basically happened because he put a good person in charge, and then got out of the way. And so you have to think that Woody could look at this. I mean, it's not that difficult to figure out. Like the Knicks were exactly the same as the Jets. Laughingstock, terrible, horrible decisions, meddling owner. That's the same thing. And so what's the solution? Get the hell out of the way. Now, Woody does have times and periods where he's hands off, usually in the beginning of a regime. And I think Woody got a little nervous with everything that happened. I think probably Woody started to lose trust in Saleh and Douglas, particularly about the Zach Wilson situation, because I think those guys just kind of blamed everything on Zach Wilson. Like, yeah, we missed it. It's all Zach Wilson's fault. Zach Wilson stinks. And Woody was probably looking at it going, you guys drafted him. We didn't have to draft him. You guys wanted him, and you guys traded, Sam Darnold out of here. And you had to have this guy. You could have traded the second pick and kept Darnold or done any number of things. And this is what you wanted. But now you're blaming Zach Wilson. But you picked him. You guys wanted him. Now, some people think Woody wanted him. I don't believe that. But it could be. You never know. And then when the whole thing with Rodgers started going south, I think Woody started panicking, to be honest with you. So hopefully he stops panicking. And or maybe Christopher can take a little bit more of a role, a power role, and curbing his brother a little bit. People have good things to say about Christopher from a personal interaction standpoint. People generally like Christopher Johnson, which is something when you're as rich as they are. People like you. That's a good thing, actually. So we'll have to see. But we're like every other team. I mean, the Cowboys, I saw somebody ranting and raving about Jerry Jones the other day, saying he's the worst owner in sports. I mean, imagine a Cowboys fan saying Jerry Jones is the worst owner in sports. Jerry Jones. Now, is Jerry Jones a great owner? I don't think so, but try being a Jets fan for 5 minutes. This guy, yeah, the Cowboys had a disappointing year last year, but the 3 previous years they won 12 games. Excuse me. And they went to the playoffs at least. Excuse me. Hello. Yeah, you had disappointing exits from the playoffs. All right. Try being a Jets fan, you moron. Try not going to the playoffs for 15 years or so. How about that? Guy was crying about Jerry Jones. Try Woody Johnson on for Try Woody Johnson on for size. And see how much you want to complain. And these people live in their bubbles. They don't understand. I mean, Daniel Snyder's no longer here, but I mean, boy, think about the Washington Redskin football team Commander fans, right? Having to deal with frickin' that guy. But he's gone now, so or what's going on with the Bengals? I mean, look at the Bengals. Try being a Bengals fan. You got this all-time quarterback. You got this great quarterback, Joe Burrow. You got the receivers, but now you don't want to pay the defensive end, and you don't want to have an offensive. You don't want to have an offensive line. So you pay all this money for Joe Burrow, and then you have one of the worst offensive lines ever in the past 4 years since Burrow's been there, and this guy's getting hurt continually. And what the hell is going on? Well, you don't want to invest in an offensive line to protect Joe Burrow? What are you doing? I mean, come on. So, I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, we got to deal with Woody. That's what we got to do. And it sucks. Just like every other team that has a crappy owner. And there's plenty of them. Yeah. The new owner of Washington seems to be pretty great. Josh Harris seems to be making all the right moves. All the right moves. BC Salami. I think with Philly playing most of the salary, bringing Huff in was a great move. Seems like a win-win trade. Yeah. That's fine. He's not as good as people think. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, he's bringing in Chaz Surratt and Thomas Morstead and Bryce Huff, blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it works out. Because the other thing about it is Saleh is doing what he did here. Did bringing in his guys from San Francisco work out here? No. Almost every guy he brought in from the old San Francisco days completely washed out here and was bad, except for maybe Quan Alexander, really. So this idea of just getting your guys, yeah, it's common in the NFL, but it usually doesn't work out. And Bryce Huff, except for that 1 year, his previous high in sacks was 3.5 sacks. So let's keep that in mind. Not exactly consistent with the sack totals. Guy had one good year where he stayed healthy, played all 17 games, got 10 sacks. And it happened to be a contract year. What a coincidence. All right, let's go to the Cimini column. Let's read what Cimini had to say today. Let's read over here. Let's try and go over here. We got Cimini over here. Jets DC Steve Wilks looking to merge schemes with Aaron Glenn. Now, I don't know if you saw the press conference. One thing I was very happy to see. Steve Wilks is not going to put up with any crap from the press. And so that was great. So Cimini tried one of his bullshit trap questions that he always does. And he said, people are saying that, you're going to play more zone, and Aaron Glenn likes to play man. So, and Steve Wilkes stopped him and said, well, why are they saying that? Why are they saying that? And Cimini said, based on past preferences and trends that you had in your defenses and that Glenn had in his defenses, that's why they're saying that. And so the question was, which one is it going to be? And Wilkes, so number one, I really like that Wilkes stopped him and said, I'm challenging the premise of your stupid fucking question. And two, his final answer was, well, it's going to depend every week on the opponent and who we're playing and what what we want to do against them. Perfect. We're not going to be a zone team or a man team. We're going to be a who the fuck are we playing this week, and let's smash him in the mouth. So I love that. All right, so here's Rich Cimini's column. Look at recharged and ready. Steve Wilks, took a year off and blah, blah, blah. Wilks inherits a unit returning 8 starters, including 1 former Pro Bowl or Pro Bowl player on each level of the defense. Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner, and the Jets. Now, this is actually something good that Cimini did. So every column, Cimini does like one surprising thing that's good. Here's something good he did. The Jets, who finished number 3 in yards allowed for the second straight year, but anybody who watched them plays knows that lofty ranking was totally deceiving. Yes, which is what I've been saying for a long time now. Finally, Cimini, somebody in the beat catches on. They were number 23 in defensive EPA. So he goes and gets a real metric that's actually real. So defensive EPA and DVOA are really the 2 things you want to take a look at. And points allowed, of course. But points can be also deceiving, but points, is also important. They were number 23, a better reflection of their performance. Like the entire team, the defense underachieved. So I got to give Cimini credit. He went and found a real metric and a real stat. All right? Now, he does use it to bash the team, which he often does, which you could say, hey, he's being negative here. But it's the truth. I mean, this is the truth. Defensive EPA, DVOA are 2 things that are much better ways to measure your defense and offense, for that matter, rather than yards allowed. Now, here's something that he does that I dislike. They had all the talent in the world, says a quote, but they never played that way, said a longtime NFL coach. Well, who is the NFL coach? Can we name the person? This is a Nani coach. Hey, it's anonymous coach. Is he an offensive coach? Special teams coach? Who is this? Is it a special teams guy? A defensive guy? A good coach? Bad coach? Is it Adam Gase? Who is this? Why don't these people put their names on it? That's the other thing. I'm just going to be a Nani coach. I'm anonymous. Yeah, you can quote me, Rich, but keep it anonymous, all right? Keep it anonymous, see? Put your name on it, coach. How about having some balls and putting your name on your quote? Coach, whoever you are, Adam Gase, probably. Hate these anonymous people who just want to be in the press and don't want to put their name on something. Pussies, I call them. Wilkes and Glenn are like-minded in that they both like to blitz a lot. So it'll be interesting to see. That's true. It'll be interesting to see how they play on the back end. And again, it's Glenn prefers man coverage. Statistically, Wilkins leans toward zone. But again, this whole conversation annoys the hell out of me as well. Man versus zone. It's a lot more complicated than just man versus zone. He said the defense will be a collaboration of their schemes. See, so this is something else. Wilkes actually told him, no, it's going to be every week we're going to change it based on the opponent, and that appears nowhere in here. Where's the quote, Rich Cimini, you dum-dum, where he told your dumb ass it's going to change every week based on the opponent? That's exactly what Wilkes said. That's not in the column. He also did say it would be a collaboration, so he's not lying, but he leaves out the part where he said every week it's going to change based on the opponent. Who are we playing? What do we need to do? Who do we have available to us? Is Quinnen Williams hurt? Is Sauce hurt? Is somebody hurt? Then that may change what we do. You know, we take our best blitzer. Is he injured or is he good to go? Okay, maybe we blitz more. I mean, not everybody's great at blitzing. So again, I would grade this column like a D minus because he's leaving something very important out. The most important thing that Wilkes said in that press conference was it's going to change every week based on the opponent. Perfect. And the skill and the people we have available. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. That's what anybody should want. And he leaves that out of the column because, he's Dick Chimney. He's got to have his narrative spin on it. It's not really about our playbook. It's about our play style. Yeah. So here's old Wilkes. And I'm really happy that we have Steve Wilkes on this squad, by the way. I think this was a great hire. Wilkes is known as a very smart defensive mind. So very interested to see the Steve fence. Some people might call it the Steve fence. Swap City, quarterback history could be made in week 1. If Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers, boy, but isn't it getting a little late? It's June 1st. When is this guy going to sign? He's going to sign right the day before the season starts. Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers. The Rodgers-Justin Fields matchup will be the first season opening game between the starting quarterbacks who swapped teams they started for the previous year. Okay, great. Lights, camera, hut. When he was behind center for the Jets, Rodgers always attracted a lot of cameras. You still see cameras at practice, but now some of them are on top of the heads of the quarterbacks. Each of the 4 QBs are wearing a small camera on their helmet, capturing video and audio that can be studied later. Quarterbacks coach Charles London, who some people didn't like that hire, I liked it, said it's a great learning tool, noting that the microphone allows them to hear the play call in the huddle and the communication at the line of scrimmage. Instead of trying to guess where did your eye start on a particular play, we'll go back and watch it. You can see where his eye started, and you can see how he went through his progressions. Yeah, great tool. Agreed. Time to get physical. There's a mantra in the wide receiver room. No block, no rock. Love it. No block, no rock. It's time for blocking. We got to block somebody. Time for blocking. New staff has placed an emphasis on perimeter blocking by the wide receivers. They were lacking in explosiveness last year. And we do have Alan Lazard and Josh Reynolds for size purposes. I have a good insight into Alan Lazard and Stone Smart. Maybe a video coming this week. Maybe. They have the same position coach as last season, Sean Jefferson, but Garrett Wilson acknowledged that the receiver's responsibilities are a little different than in the past. For example, he said there might be plays where he's required to seek out and block a safety. These are things that maybe I haven't been asked to do, Wilson said, but it says a lot about the culture. No block, no rock, even for G5. Getting real. OTA practices aren't as intense as training camp, but that doesn't mean Glenn will accept a lax effort. He didn't like the energy of practice, Justin Fields said, and he told us. That's the early word on Glenn. Early word on Glenn. No sugarcoating. Real. He's a real coach. Eye on the run. Quinnen Williams said he's trying to improve his play as a run defender, specifically his ability to shed blocks. He admitted he made a lot of mistakes last season. In fact, he ranked 30th in ESPN's run stop win rate among interior linemen, down from 12th. So that's interesting. One opposing scout. Okay, an Anani scout here. We got an Anani scout. Put your name on it, Scouty boy. Said the Jets' run defense should be better than last season because the scheme will be more committed to run stopping than the previous one. That's a pretty ridiculous thing to say. We're going to be more committed to run stopping. So the previous regime didn't want to stop the run? Is that what you're telling me? That's pretty stupid. Now, who's this scout? Danny Kelly? Dummy Kelly? I mean, we need to know who these people are, Rich. This anonymous thing is not flying. Waiting. Second-round pick Mason Taylor still hasn't signed his rookie contract, but he's in the majority, as Frankie from Flatbush reported several weeks ago. Finally, Rich Cimini's catching up. So those on X saw that I already had this. As soon as I saw the contracts from Jaden Higgins and Schwessinger, this was the way it was going to be. As of Friday, only 2 of the 32 picks in the second round are under contract. As usual, the amount of guaranteed money is the primary sticking point. The top 2 picks in the round, Schwessinger and Higgins, reportedly received fully guaranteed deals, the first fully guaranteed contracts for second-round picks. So now everybody behind them is going to want the same thing. But, of course, he's still participating in off-season practices. But everybody now, because they set the precedent, the Browns and the Texans, now all the agents are going to go up. Precedent set. Give me guaranteed money, guaranteed money, guaranteed money for all the second-round picks. So we'll just have to see how that shakes out. If I had to guess, I think we're going to have to probably cave on that and give him the guaranteed money. Early sleeper, a rookie to watch is punt returner Jamal Pritchett. You may not have heard of him. An undrafted free agent from South Alabama. He's doing a phenomenal job, according to Chris Banjo. Pritchett is 5'8", 175, but he has 4.42 speed in the 40-yard dash. He scored once last season on a punt return. Incumbent Xavier Gibson is the favorite, but expect the rookie to push him. All right. So maybe we got something in Jamal Pritchett. 2 weeks left. The Jets have 4 more OTA practices scheduled, followed by a mandatory 3-day mini camp, also known as Mandy Mini, the following week. At that point, they will break until training camp begins in late July. First game of the year is the Hall of Fame game on July the 31st. So the first game we can watch on television, July 31st, the Hall of Fame game, will probably go live on this channel. And watch it. Why not? The last word. I don't put too much into the workout stuff. We've all seen workout warriors who can't play a lick of football. Armand Membu can play ball. Offensive line coach Steve Hayden on the Jets' first-round pick who blew up the scouting combine. All right, so a bunch of anonymous stuff in the column today. Bad reporting. I would give this a D- as far as a column is concerned. Too many anonymous sources. Too many for me. All right. Let's see. So that's all we got as far as reporting. Yeah, we got to work the bell. PC, we got to work the bell. Yeah, somebody said we got a spammer in here. I'm not seeing him. D-line very questionable. Yeah, I agree. Now, so we got, we're very thin. I mean, the defensive end 3-spin max is Michael Clemens. People are saying Michael Clemens is going to get cut. It's like, okay, then you're going to get worse because he's our defensive end 3 is Michael Clemens. And defensive end 4 is Eric Watts, Rashad Weaver. I mean, that's not good. So, yeah, we're very thin, both at defensive tackle and defensive end. Which is why it makes no sense that scout said we're going to be better on run defense because we're going to put more emphasis on it. That's ridiculous. You think Saleh didn't want to stop the run? That's totally ridiculous. Mullen Labe. The anonymous people are Rich himself. No, I think he's getting real. You can, I mean, I think he's getting that from people. I don't think he's just making it up. I don't think so. I mean, he works for ESPN. He's got sources. You can find scouts. He can find ex coaches. I mean, it's not hard. He calls them up and he says, "It's Rich Samini from ESPN." And the guy hears ESPN. And he's like, "Okay, I'll talk to ESPN. Yeah, if it's Rich Samini himself, working for Jets X Factor, they're not going to call him back. But they'll call back ESPN. Yeah. So that's why, like, the quote unquote best beat reporters we have are Rich Samini, Connor Hughes, and Zach Rosenblatt. Why is that? Because of the organizations they work for. Remember, The Athletic is owned by the New York Times, and The Athletic therefore has tons of capital at its disposal, and it's an organization that has reporters for every single team. So let's say you're Zach Rosenblatt, you work for The Athletic, and we acquire a player from the Rams. The Rams release somebody, we sign him. Well, you just call up the Rams reporter who works for The Athletic, and you start getting the lowdown from him, and then you start getting contacts from him. Okay, who can I call? Who else can I get? Who do you have for? You see, and it's the same thing for ESPN. ESPN has a reporter for every single team. So Rich Cimini can do the same. And these are big organizations. And then Connor Hughes worked for The Athletic. Now he works for SNY, but he still has all his contacts from The Athletic. That's why those are the guys who actually put out new information. The rest of them just retweet and put out BS that everybody else puts out. But the people who put out new information, whether it's BS or anonymous sourced or whatever, the three who put out new information the most are Hughes and Rosenblatt and Samini. The rest of them, I mean, why is Andy Vasquez even? What does Andy Vasquez even do all day? He's a beat reporter for some publication. He never breaks any news ever. Like once in a while, you'll see Dennis Wazak from the AP occasionally, or I don't know, somebody's got something very occasionally. But for the local people, those three are the only ones, and it's because of the organizations that they work for. So I actually think he has sources, Mullen. I don't think he's just making it up. He doesn't need to. The person who makes things up is Dirty Diana Rossini, of course, and that's because she's a national person and she works for the Athletic as well. But I think even Rossini, I don't think she completely makes things up. It's really in the shading and how she says things, and I think she embellishes things in order to get her work out there in front of people, more people. But she has lots of sources too, of course. Jojo, there's a lot going on in the chat today. I'm not seeing it. Is there some spam or something? I can't see him on my side. To go to Jay, the Jets motivator spamming. I don't see him. Where? Now I'm in Restream, so I'm not seeing him. So if you guys want to, you can always click a guy's name. There's if you hover over it, um, you should just block him, PC. Yeah, just hover over his name, click on the three dots, and there should be a way to block. So just block. No, Joe Mike, you're wrong. Of course they could get worse. Who's better, Michael Clemens or Eric Watts? Or Rashad Weaver? Clemens is better than those guys. Unless Watts has improved a lot. And not to mention, even if you like Watts better, say, he's certainly better than Rashad Weaver, so maybe he's defensive end 4. So unless you're going to sign people, now if we want to sign people, that's a different story. But I'm just talking about the roster right now. Yeah, behind Clemens, it's very, very weak. We didn't sign anyone. We don't have anybody. Yeah, so you guys, if you want to block this spammer, I guess I have him blocked. I will. I'm not seeing it in the chat. Hang on a second. So somebody's ruined my chat. All right, so I'll try to block him off the channel after this, but I'm not seeing him in the chat. Well, let's do an overlay. I'm going to show you guys what's coming through on the display here. 29 posts by him. Oh, wow. But I didn't see a single one. Isn't that weird? I wonder why I didn't see it. I'm not seeing his name even once. All right, I'll have to try to take care of it after the show because I'm not seeing it. I'm showing you guys the chat now on there, and you don't see his name there. He's not spamming. That's how he is. Yeah, but we also get rid of people who are annoying as well. So we don't want to ruin the experience for the for people in the chat, whether it's technically spamming or just being an annoying person. I'm not afraid to get rid of people. Hank G, who's spamming? Maybe some people have him blocked already. But usually if I have him blocked, then he shouldn't show up in the chat. That's the weird part. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. But that's all we have as far as news is concerned right now. I'll just check the national news. There doesn't seem to be anything going on. The Jets are promoting Justin Fields on the podcast. And I really like Justin Fields. I'm hoping that he can, do something this year with us. It'd be nice. He's a great guy. Whether he can be a great quarterback, who knows? But it does not seem like there's any breaking news. So we'll have to see in the next couple of days if we sign. Now, if we sign a couple of defensive ends, a couple of defensive tackles, I'll be very happy. And then we could cut. Or trade Michael Clemens. I do think Michael Clemens would probably have some value. You might be able to get a 7th-round pick for him or something. Phil Adams, Dakota J is a longtime chatter on Bean's channel, always there. He's just being extra chatty. Well, the weird thing is I can't see him, Phil Adams. That's the weird thing. I don't see him at all. Dakota's a good guy. He's been around other shows for a while. Olin Lobby. Solo is a great guy, too. Yeah. Just because you're a great guy just means you're easy to root for. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful. But look what happened with Saleh and the 49ers. I mean, they're really setting him up to be the next head coach. They really are. Jazzy Jet. Dakota has been going hard on all the Jets podcasts this weekend. He's on one. All right. Well, you guys can see the chat up on the screen right there, and you see it's not appearing, right? Like these things appear as they come through. They're just popping up. So I'll have to check it out. I mean, there's always something new and fun to check out when it comes to this channel. But the good news is I should be able to put out some new content this week. I haven't really been able to as I've been working on the audiobook side of things. But that's the latest project is coming to a close. And so hopefully I'll be able to get a couple of new videos up this week. So look forward to that one. Any truth to the Breece Hall Cowboys trade rumors? I don't think so. No, I don't know why we would do that. Cowboys, I know they picked so people are saying that because Cowboys, I think, still need a running back. I don't know why we would be motivated to do that. What are they going to offer us? A 6th-round pick? No, thank you. Top events. Why does ESPN have top events? What the hell? What I want to see is teams. I want to see their schedule, depth roster. The Cowboys have Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jadon Blue. I mean, what are they going to give us? They don't have any extra defensive tackles. Want to give us Mozzie Smith? I'll take him. I mean, I think they'll probably just roll with Javonte Smith and Miles Sanders and Jadon Blue. That's good enough. That's not. I mean, it's not the best running back room in the world, but I mean, they did give up a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. That was a crazy trade. So if they want to give us a 1st-round pick, I mean, yeah, sure. All right. So apparently this Dakota person's still here. So I'm going to get off. I'll block Dakota and then, yeah, try to get him. Yeah, I'll try to get him off the channel. I don't want people who are dominating the chat and things like that. So we'll call it a day for today. I'll see what I can do about Dakota in the